Every year, close to 1 million people walk through the gates of a castle in Transylvania, specifically to visit what global marketing calls Dracula's Castle. Bran Castle, dramatic, cliff-perched, genuinely medieval, genuinely impressive. Here's the uncomfortable question this channel is going to ask directly, 19 episodes into documenting this man's actual history. Did Vlad the Impaler ever actually live there? The honest answer, based on the documented historical record, is considerably less certain than 1 million annual visitors probably assume. This is the story of how a real, genuinely historic castle became the world's most famous Dracula location. Built less on Vlad's actual documented life, examined carefully across this entire channel, and more on exactly the kind of tourism economics that turned a 500-year-old legend into one more resource for a nation to sell. This channel's previous episode already showed you how communist Romania rebuilt Vlad into a nationalist symbol. What that episode didn't cover is what happened after communism itself ended. Romania's 1989 revolution brought the fall of Ceausescu's government and, in the years that followed, an economy in genuine difficult transition. A country needing new sources of income looked, among other things, toward tourism. And Romania already possessed something few countries have. A globally recognized, centuries-deep horror brand, already primed by Bram Stoker's novel, this channel's 16th episode already covered in detail. The commercial opportunity was, frankly, obvious. Millions of people worldwide already knew the name Dracula. Very few of them knew anything genuinely accurate about Vlad III's actual documented history. The history this entire channel has spent 19 episodes carefully establishing. What Romania's developing tourism industry needed was a physical location. A castle tourists could actually visit, photograph, and walk through. Something Stoker's fictional Transylvanian castle never specified with enough real-world precision to actually exist anywhere. Bran Castle, dramatic and genuinely medieval, became that location. Whether the actual historical evidence fully supported the connection was, from a tourism marketing standpoint, a considerably less urgent question than whether the castle looked the part. Let's be genuinely fair to Bran Castle's real history, because it's a fascinating fortress in its own right, independent of any Dracula connection at all. Built in the 14th century, Bran served for centuries as a customs post and defensive fortification, guarding a key mountain pass between Wallachia and Transylvania. It has real, substantial, well-documented history, just largely unrelated to Vlad III specifically. The connection historians actually debate is considerably thinner than the marketing suggests. Some accounts place Vlad passing through or briefly held in the general region during his various campaigns and captivities. This channel has already documented, across multiple episodes, how much time he genuinely spent moving through contested Transylvanian territory. But pass through the region and this specific castle was his residence are very different historical claims. The documented evidence for Vlad having any sustained, meaningful connection to Bran Castle specifically, living there, ruling from there, being imprisoned there for any significant length of time, is genuinely thin, and many serious historians treat the popular Dracula's Castle identification as considerably more marketing than verified history. This channel isn't going to tell you the connection is entirely fabricated. The historical record from this period and region, this channel has demonstrated repeatedly, is often genuinely incomplete, and a brief, undocumented visit remains entirely plausible. What this channel can tell you, with real confidence, is that the extensive central role Bran Castle plays in popular Dracula tourism rests on considerably less solid ground than 1 million annual visitors are generally told. So how did a castle with a genuinely thin historical connection become the singular, globally recognized Dracula's Castle? Partly geography and aesthetics. Bran Castle simply looks the part. Dramatic cliff position, genuine medieval towers, the kind of silhouette that matches closely enough the atmospheric expectations Stoker's novel and a century of subsequent horror media had already built in the popular imagination. Partly, this channel has to be honest, simple market convenience. Tourism marketing needs a specific, visitable, photographable location. Bran existed, was already a notable historic site, and was considerably easier to promote than trying to correct a century of popular misconception about a much more historically accurate, but considerably less dramatic set of actual Vlad-associated sites this channel has already covered. Ponari, Sighișoara, Târgoviște. Once the association took hold commercially, it became largely self-reinforcing. Guidebooks repeated it. Tour operators built itineraries around it. Millions of visitors experienced it as established fact, simply by virtue of how confidently it was presented, regardless of how thin the underlying historical evidence actually was. This channel has now shown you this exact pattern 5 separate times, across 5 completely different eras and mechanisms. A monk's testimony, shaped by trauma and a poet's craft. A king's propaganda, shaped by political necessity. A novelist's borrowed name, shaped by Gothic atmosphere. A dictator's nationalist rebranding, shaped by Cold War politics. And now, a tourism industry's convenient geography, shaped by simple commercial practicality. None of them set out to lie exactly. Every single one of them just needed Vlad's story to be something slightly different than what this channel has spent 19 episodes carefully documenting it actually was. So here's what this episode actually adds to everything Season 3 has already started building. A castle with a genuinely thin, honestly uncertain connection to Vlad III has become, through decades of tourism marketing rather than documented history, the single most recognized Dracula location on Earth. Millions of people walk through it every year, many of them genuinely believing they're standing where a 15th century prince actually lived. This channel isn't telling you to stop visiting, or that the castle isn't worth seeing on its own genuine merits. It's a remarkable piece of medieval architecture, regardless of who did or didn't live there. What this channel is telling you, consistent with everything it's tried to do across 19 previous episodes, is that the story you're told while you're standing there probably owes considerably more to 20th century tourism economics than to anything this channel has been able to actually verify about Vlad's documented life. The myth-making this entire series has tracked, monk, poet, king, novelist, dictator, has a genuinely current chapter, still being written. Every single day someone buys a ticket expecting to walk through Dracula's actual home. Season 3 is just getting started, and this channel is going to keep finding exactly this kind of thread. The places, the people, and the industries still quietly deciding right now which version of Vlad the Impaler the world gets to believe next. Subscribe if you'd rather know which castle he probably actually knew than which one simply photographs better. We'll see you in the next chronicle.